guys and gals. Today I'll be talking about the movie The Exorcist Part 2, The Heretic. Okay, anyway, this is one of all the movies I ever talked about. And there's a movie, there was a few movies I wanted to blacklist from my review blogs. This was actually one of them. And it's kind of weird because, if everyone follows me, everyone knows, speaking for me, I love The Exorcist. I like 1, I like 3, I even like the 2 prequels. But 2 has to be one of the worst horror movies, or the worst movie in general of all time, the worst horror sequel, period, also. And as the years went by, and actually, believe it or not, I finally got the Exorcist anthology collection now, because I wanted to buy in one set. But I didn't bought the Blu-ray, I bought the regular DVD version because, it was cheaper and I was getting the same sound quality anyway from it. But that's just me. But most importantly, I finally saw this movie a second time around. Yes, second time around. I watched it. This movie was still burning into my mind. It's just one watch of this movie was good enough for me to say, "Fuck this poofy." But you know what? After realizing it, I actually did enjoy the movie. I developed a soft spot for this movie now in my heart now. And I'm not. That's funny. I'm saying that because there was a scene in Exorcist 2 when, little spoiler, when the evil Reagan version played with the heart of the priest when they did the hypnotized machine. Yeah, but it wasn't bad as I thought it was. I mean, the acting was good to me. They had a good cast. The music was good. Of course, Ennio Morricone did the spaghetti western music mostly, and a lot of soundtrack in Italian movies and Malgin, excuse me, let me say that. And I'm sorry for saying the name wrong. But it had great visual too. But to me, I think, speaking for me, to me at that time, and a lot of people might want to agree with this, it was just the story of it, how they put it in there, how they wrote the story for the sequel for the greatest horror movie of all time, speaking for me. And then you come up with the sequel and you end up giving us this trash. And this was my mentality at the time, by the way. But it's pretty obvious Hollywood rushed to do this. They just want to capitalize on the first movie. It was pretty obvious, but it did went all out. I mean, like I say, it had a good cast, good visual, good soundtrack. But just the story for this movie was horrible. Now years later, just like I said, it's my second time watching it, and you know what? After thinking about it, it wasn't bad as I thought it was. The movie's about this priest who was kind of like trained by Father Merrin, the original priest from the first movie that exorcised the demon from Reagan, before he died, you know, and um, and he set up by the church to investigate his death, pretty much, like how did he die, what really happened, and then he went to visit Reagan's psychologist, and as the movie develops, to fast forward a little bit more, he interviews the machine with Reagan, or even with the psychologist, and he's not seeing how Father Merrin died, and he's not seeing the history of Father Merrin, how he first time he fought Pazuzu. Would you see the prequel later on in the fourth installment or whatever version you want to take it as? It's kind of different from the newer version of Father Merrin, how he first met Pazuzu. But whoever knew you were going to do a prequel at that time. But besides that, they show you him, Father Merrin, when he was kind of like younger, go to Africa, and to try to exorcise this boy from Pazuzu. As the movie develops, we find out that the boy grew up, and then you get the priest that talked to Pazuzu when Reagan was in a trance mode, and in a way you can just tell it's pretty obvious that Pazuzu is kind of like setting his own plan, And then as the movie develops again, you found out that Pazuzu was, of course, sent by Satan to destroy goodness, pretty much, like destroy these children that have like unique gifts, unique powers that could do good they put good in the world, and that's the reason why these kids were being possessed, especially Reagan, And you find out Reagan has a gift too, also. And when you see the beginning part of this movie, it kind of like leads up to like the attention of the demon, pretty much, which I just told you. But because of that little storyline, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. I'm like, all right, I can see Satan sending his legions out, like, you know, you gotta put a stop to this shit, you know, pretty much. That's what evil does, pretty much. But then, of course, you get your scenes with James Earl Jones, which is epic, you know. I kind of like the James Earl Jones scene now. I like him as an actor, but when I was looking at it back then, when I was young, I didn't like these scenes. I thought it was stupid. But then when I see it the second time around, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand it, you know. And you know, it's kind of weird when you say that. Why would Pazuzu help this priest lead him to his enemy? You know, pretty much. You know, but then you find out that, like I say, Pazuzu's the demon. You know, he plays psychological mind games. He fucks with you. And, you know, he ended up getting possessed with. He had to influence the priest. He had to try to take Reagan into the original house, the apartment house, from the first movie when Reagan was possessed by the demon at the time. And I don't want to spoil too much though with the ending. I just thought, even though the ending was stupid, but I thought it was kind of epic. You know, like in a way if you think about it, to right now. If you think about it, yeah, finally I would finally say that hey, Exorcist 2 could be down as an underrated horror sequel. I mean, I can understand the hate for it, but speaking for me, when I hated it at that time, I kind of grew out of it now, and you know what? I actually like the Exorcist Part 2 now, so I can forgive and forget, you know, and I can let the little storyline slide, you know. But it would be kind of cool, like, if they kind of like, what if Hollywood had changed the script for this? What if we had, like, Reagan as a nun instead, you know, and she ended up growing up to fight the demon for herself, you know, like, it's hard to explain my version of it, but you know what? I'm not in Hollywood. But all in all, Exorcist 2, like I say, give it a chance and try to be a little open minded, and maybe there's like certain little gaps in the movie or certain scenes or certain parts of the story you might enjoy or like, you know, that you can like let it slide. Anyway, peace, guys. See you later.